Hey guys, Scott here again with a new beer dissection video, or I should say sour dissection video. Today I'm going to be reviewing my first sour ale, I presume, or sour beer. This one's coming from 10 Barrel Brewing Company outside of Bend, Oregon. Those of you, depending on what you've watched of my videos in the past, recently, at least at the filming of this video, I had a friend bring back from his wife's family that lives out in Oregon, near the Bend, Oregon area. Probably remember the last Blockbusters in Bend, Oregon. He brought me a assorted six-pack from that region, not even from one brewery, and I've been really enjoying them. But again, this is 10 Barrel Brewing Company Crush Apricot Sour. I kind of chuckled a little bit when I first started filming this because it's a very plain Jane can versus a lot of these guys that have like these artistic, artsy-fartsy looking cans these days. This one actually looks like when I grew up in the 70s and 80s in New Jersey, the no frills type of brands that they just have beer, and it was just written beer on there. So this one just says Crush on there. So the only specs I have on this, other than being a sour, I think I had seen it was, well, I guess the best buy is, where is it? January. I guess it was January. So yeah, I'm about a month or two beyond the best buy. The alcohol percentage is 6.2%. Most sour beers, other than the ones you get from Belgium, like some of the Lambics, Flanders Red, are what they call kettle soured. So what they do is when they do the mash, which is the grains, steeping the grains in hot liquid. Again, I know some of you have a background in home brewing. I've home brewed for years. And what they'll do is they will put lactobacillus in the mash after it's done, before they would boil it. Let it sit for about 24 hours. It sours the beer. Then you continue the brewing process the rest of the way with the boil, and then of course the cooling, and then the fermentation. Because a lot of the cellars in the brew houses, they don't want lactobacillus at all, because it's usually not a very desirable organism in beer, because it obviously gives you that lactic acid type of bite to it. And unless you're specifically brewing sours, they usually don't want it there. So they usually kettle sour it just right after the mash, right before the boil. And that's where you get these. Again, I don't know specifically what 10 Barrel Brewing Company does. I mean, very likely, there's a possibility they do it during fermentation or the tail end. But if I was betting, they do it the way I just explained it to you. So this is an apricot sour Crush 10 Barrel Brewing Company, okay? And I'm probably gonna have, obviously, graphics like most of the time popping over my shoulder. All right, so let's crack this bad boy open. Okay, I'm using my typical glass you've seen me use on a lot of different videos. Whoa, very loud opening there, okay? So apricot sour, obviously we're expecting a lot of apricot, orange, mandarin type of fruit flavors and things like that. Of course, apricot flavor. Again, the other thing you don't understand, like some of these places, they'll actually, after primary fermentation, will put the beer or the sour on the fruit directly, like maybe slightly crushed. Some will back sweeten it, meaning that they'll put like a apricot puree that's sweetened. Some will use artificial sweeteners. I don't know this one. I'm going to see if I can judge by just smelling it. I don't like too much of the artificial flavoring. I've done that in home brewing, and sometimes it gives you that medicinal type of, and it does smell and taste artificial. So again, pretty heavy pour once again by me, but we got, a nice light tan head, very supportive. Looks like it's very carbonated. And again, I'm not even going to say gold color, but it is a medium gold color. However, we'll just say it's apricot color, hence this being an apricot sour. Again, kind of hazy, but pretty looking. Almost looks like kind of a some IPAs that I've seen. Okay, but again, there it is. Let's take a sniff of the aroma. Okay, with no doubt, there's apricot aroma here. Now I can't make out quite yet if it's apricot essence that they use in their artificial. But it has enough dank quality to the aroma that I'm suspecting they're using some type of apricot, whether it's a puree or juice, not just strictly a tincture or something like that thrown into the fermenters. But nice. I mean, it's definitely. I don't drink a lot of sours. It's not my number one choice, but it's got a nice dank kind of apricot mandarin kind of aroma to it. No traditional hops, and I don't believe in most of these sours are using more traditional hops like Pacific Northwest or German Noble, or if anything, they may be using some New World hops that kind of give you more of a citrusy type of smell and taste, because that's what you kind of get here. And you would expect that with apricot being kind of like in that realm of citrus and orange. So you get that apricot, orange, mandarin, clementine type of pithy aroma to it. I'm not really getting much malt here on the nose. I'm presuming they're using a Pilsner malt or some light two-row malt because it is a sour. Very nice though. I mean, it's very, very fresh. Okay, so cheers, guys. Ooh. Definitely the sour hits you up front, and that's usually what happens. Any sour acidity kind of hits you on the front end of your palate. If it was bitterness from the hops, it usually you got to wait about 15 to 30 seconds, then it kind of hits you a little bit. This definitely up front is hitting you with that acidity of it being sour. So of course you're getting that citrus, tartness, like almost lemon-like, that you were sucking on a quarter of lemon. But as I do that retronasal thing, which you kind of breathe in through your nose and you kind of exhale kind of through your mouth, you kind of hit it. It's definitely like those dried apricots, or even like a mango, like those mango slices that you get. There's definitely some residual sweetness here too. So there kind of gives you that kind of medium body kind of feel to it. But it's very nice and refreshing. Again, it's not my number one go-to style of beverage, adult beverage, but as I go for a next swig and I'm breathing in, again, you are dominant with those apricots. But think of a dried apricot. You open up the bag and smell it in there that you're getting it. So it is definitely heavy there. There is some acidity, obviously, because of being a sour. So you kind of get that orangey, apricot, citrus, lemon kind of zing and zang when you're taking a drink of it. But very nice. Again, like I said, it's I think the last sour I had was in like a blackberry type of sour. Pour a little bit more in there. So there's definitely some astringency from like the lemon. No alcoholic warmth. The aftertaste, like I said, you can kind of feel it kind of coating your tongue. You get that subtle lemon, orange, pithy type of flavor to it. Little slight creaminess. I think that's just because some of the residual sweetness that you have here. But again, definitely if you're into sours and you kind of like more of a citrus, orangey, of course this one apricot, this is very nice. Crush 10 Barrel Brewing Company. I think I have sours. Again, I think this is my first sour that I'm doing on my channel here. I think I've only had maybe 2 or 3 sours over the course of the last 12 months. But if that's your thing and you're out in the Pacific Northwest or you see this, I have a sense that I'm in the Northeast. So, unless you have a lot of 10 Barrel Brewing Company, I don't think I've ever seen that in any of my local beer stores. That's why a buddy of mine brought this over. But what I would do with this, like I'll start with dessert, like if you have a black canvas, since there is some residual sweetness here of like a panna cotta or even just a a creme brulee. You add a little apricot to it. Cheesecake, this would go great with because of the fruitiness of this mixing with the fruitcake, or not fruitcake, the cheesecake. The cheese pairings with something like this, I would kind of keep it pretty even keeled, like a mozzarella or a cotta. Because again, you got the apricot, so it almost can act like, you know, complemented like a dessert would be, or almost like if you had a panna cotta and this, like that orange sherbet vanilla ice cream kind of mix that you've seen at the back of the ice cream truck. This is what it kind of gives you. So definitely a sweeter beer, a little bit more mouthfeel, citrusy, orange, apricot-ish, of course, because it is apricot sour, but definitely has that acidity to it. But again, very nice. Again, one more taste before I leave you guys. But you can see the head is really persisting. So all the sours that I've had, this is definitely a very good one. And I would probably give it a good B+, A- in the realm of sours. So in other than that, guys, hopefully just a touch about how they sour the beer. If you have any questions, you know, post below this video, whether it's on YouTube or my Facebook page. All right, guys, till the next time, have a great day. Take care.